शुचिपुत्रम् अत्र स्वरूपम् रूपं तस्याग्रजामुरिपुरीं मातुरीं गोष्वाटिम् राधाकुन्दमगिरिवरम् अहो राधिकामाधवसं रप्तो यस्य प्रतितकृपया श्रीगुरुं तं नतोऽस्मि गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदाले कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः आनन्दलीलमय विग्रहाय हेमबद्धव्यश्चाविसुन्दराय तस्मै महाप्रेमरसप्रदाय चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते चन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते श्यामसुन्दराय शिखण्डशिखर स्वरहास मुरलीं मनोहरा राधिकरसिकं मम कृपनिधे सुप्रियचरणकिङ्करीं कुरु तवैवस्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना जीविकाय देवी तं न मां शरणान्तिकम्. First of all, I offer my Sastang Dandavat Puspanjali, my heart like flowers, thousands of times at the lotus feet of my holy master, the supremely worshipable spiritual Gurudev, Asmaddeya Paramaradhatama Guru Pada Padma, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Ashtotarasata Sri Rupanugacharya, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Secondly, I offer my pranam thousands of times at the lotus feet of my Param Gurudev, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Sri Rupanuga Gauriya Guru Parampara. And finally, I offer my pranam to all the Ananya Tridandipadagan, all the assembled Acharyas, and all Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, Vanchika. I feel like one very small rabbit sitting in the midst of so many huge elephants here. Murkani cha shudramuhi vishayalalas Vaishnavagya balikari etaka sahas. I am quite foolish and very low and insignificant and very thirsty for material enjoyment. But still, Vaishnava has given some agya, some order. You should speak and glorify Srila Prabhupada. So only because of the order of Guru and Vaishnavas, I have some courage and enthusiasm to offer Shraddha Pushpanjali at the feet of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakura. Perhaps you know that when Srila Prabhupada was a boy, when he was very young, he became so learned in Jyotish, in astrology. At that time, the most famous astrologer in India, his name was Bapu Dev Shastri. And in 1860, he had written a commentary on the Surya Siddhanta, very ancient Vedic text on astrology and astronomy. And it was accepted everywhere. Everyone respected his explanation, his translation. And there, that Bapudev Shastri had written that there is some inaccuracy in the Vedic astrology, but it can be corrected if we take the help of the Western astrology. So it can be, it is not fully accurate, but if we look to modern science and we look to Western astronomy, then we can adjust it and improve it. So our Srila Prabhupada at that time, Bimala Prasad Datta, he was very young, But even then, he could not tolerate that anyone will minimize that Shastra which has been revealed in this world and put it below the empiric process, the process of sense perception and speculation coming from the West. So, at the age of 15, he wrote his own translation and explanation of Surya Siddhanta. And there, he gave what is called the Beat Sanskars. Beat Sanskar means that in astronomy, you have to make mathematical calculations. In these mathematical calculations, there are some constants. But actually, the movements of the stars, they have some slight irregularity. And so those are constants in the equations. They're actually not constant. Every 100 years they have to be updated. So this updating of the constants, this is called the beat sanskars. So being very young, only 15 years old, our Srila Prabhupada, he translated the Surya Siddhanta and he wrote a commentary and he gave the beat sanskars because the equations, they have to be updated by the beat sanskars once every 100 years, but for more than 800 years, then the constants had not been updated. And once this adjustment was done, then you find that Surya Siddhanta is completely perfect. So, you can see that there was a great confusion in the world. No one could solve it. But our Prabhupada, being just a very young boy, he could see through all the conclusion, all the confusion, and solve this problem. So, being 15 years old, when he wrote this commentary, then his two professors. One professor was Pandit Mahesh Chandra Chudamani, and the other professor, Pandit Sundarlal. And those two professors, they gave Bhima Prasad this title, Siddhanta Sarasvati. Siddhanta Sarasvati means the goddess of learning. There's two types of learning, Aparavidya and Paravidya. So the Jyotish is actually Aparavidya, it is related to this world. So at that time, he showed the expertise in the Aparavidya and established the real Siddhanta. So it is said that future events cast their shadow in the present. If there's a big tree, then it will have a long shadow. So you may see the shadow here, if you follow it, it will lead you to the tree. So the pastimes as a boy, being only 15 years old and receiving this title, Siddhanta Saraswati, it was like a shadow of what will come in the future. That he had corrected everything according to the Aparavidya of the Vedas. And in the future, he will correct everything of the Paravidya of the Vedas. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad here said, Sancharya Rama bheda-bhakta meghe swabhakti siddhanta chayamritani gurabdireta amunavinirnais yatsyatva ratnalayatam prayati. When Krishna, in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted to fulfill his three desires and realize the greatness of Radhika's Prem, then what did he do? He went to South India and he met with Ramananda Rai. So in this verse it is said that Gauranga Mahaprabhu is like the ocean and Ramananda Rai is like a cloud. So when the rain falls at the time of Swati Nakshatra, one constellation, then when that rain goes in the ocean becomes filled with jewels. So in the same way, Mahaprabhu was like the ocean. Ramananda Rai was the cloud. And when they met, then what was coming from that cloud? Swabhakti Siddhanta Chayamritani, the rain of Bhakti Siddhanta, the highest conclusions of devotion. And when that rain of Bhakti Siddhanta, Harikatha, touched the heart of the ocean Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it became filled with the jewels. Sri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kiddushovanayaeva. All the ecstasies that Radharani realizes in her love for Krishna, now Krishna himself could experience that. When the rain of Bhakti Siddhanta came upon him. And now in the year 1874, the Bhaktisiddhanta Swarup, the very embodiment of that nectarian katha, Ramananda Pashi Jato Siddhanta Shunila, Rupe Kripakari Prabhu Sabha Sancharila. Whatever Mahaprabhu he heard from the Ramananda Rai, that's what he inspired into the heart of Rupa Goswami. It became Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Ujjwal Nilamani, Vidagdha Madhav, Lalit Madhav, Stavamala, and so many granthas, Dankali, Comedy, and so on. So this was the reign of Bhaktisiddhanta, and now in the year 1874, the very Swarup of Bhaktisiddhanta, the embodiment of all the nectar that Mahaprabhu gave in the heart of Srila Rupa Goswami, appeared in this world. So when he was 15 years old, he received the title Siddhanta Sarasvati. And then when he accepted sannyas, then he became Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati, and he manifested his glories as the embodiment of the perfection of all Paravidya, Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. The highest knowledge comes from what? Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. So at the time of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur, so many misconceptions, so many apasampradayas were there. Aul, Baul, Akarta Bhaja, Neda, Daravesha Sai, Sahaja Saki Beki, Smarta Jap Gosai, Akibari Chudadari, Goranga Nagari, Totakai Eitara Sangi Nahikari. 13 prominent apasampradayas, and they multiplied, they became hundreds here and there. There was so much confusion. If Prabhupada Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur had not come into this world and cleared all of that confusion, no one could have done it. You know that Srila Jiva Goswami Pad in his Sandarbhas and in Sarva Sambhadini, he's given the very profound epistemology of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but it's explained in such a way, it is quite esoteric and difficult to understand. And it had mainly been forgotten. So there were so many deviations, and bhakti was taken cheaply by the Prakrita Sahaja section of society in Ativadi. But Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur took that knowledge, which was very inaccessible and difficult to understand, and then through his powerful Harikatha, he infused that into the hearts of all of his associates. So our Tigandi Sannyasigan, they've been saying how Prabhupada never compromised. Prabhupada, he used to say that my Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he trained me to be a proofreader. Because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote so many books, and he trained Srila Prabhupada to proofread them. So he said, he has trained me to be a proofreader, but I am not only the proofreader of the book, I am the proofreader of the author. I am the proofreader of men. And when I see anyone, I look inside their heart. And I was born, what? In the Kakarashi. Kakarashi means the Cancer the crab. So I was born in Kakarashi of Cancer the crab. So it's my nature. When I proofread the heart of a person, and if I see in their heart there is anything which is against Rupa Goswami's teaching, Anya Bilasita Shunyam Jnana Kamadhanavritam Anukuyena Krishnanushlam Bhakti Uttama, then I pinch it. Like the karka, like the crab, it pinches, then I pinch that and take it away. So Srila Prabhupada, he never compromised. He was very, very strict. Extremely strict. Once it happened, there was one sannyasi. And he was preaching in North India, and the idea came in his mind, I should do the parikrama of Gangotri, Yamunotri, and Badrinath, Kedarnath. So, but without taking blessing or without order of Prabhupada, he went there, and for some months he was traveling, he did that parikrama. When he came back, and he returned to the Vyas Gaudiya Math in Kurukshetra. When he came back there, then the devotee in charge of the mat would not let him in. He said, why won't you let me in? He said, I've received a letter from Srila Prabhupada that you cannot come in. You are out now. And Srila Prabhupada, he took away his saffron cloth, took away his danda and his sannyas name, and gave him the name Badri Narayan Das Adhikari. What did he do? What did he do? Anuku yena Krishnanu Shilanam. Bhakti Uttama. Bhakti is anugatyamai. It is always under the guidance of our acharyas, under the guidance of Gurudev and the pure Vaishnavas. Anugatyamai. Mahat kripa bina kon kama bhakti nai. Krishna bhakti durao sangsa nahikshay. Without the blessings of pure Vaishnavas, no activity we do, even parikrama, even chanting, remembering, studying, it's not bhakti, unless it's done in anugatya, under the guidance of Shri Guru and pure Vaishnavas. So though he seems he was a qualified person, but he went out of the anugatya of Prabhupada. So to teach this lesson to the whole world, Srila Prabhupada was very harsh with him, and he took away everything. After some time, that devotee, he became Trinadapi Suni Chena, more humble than a blade of grass. You know, when the wind blows, every time the wind blows, then the straw falls down on us here. So to remind us to be Trinadapi Suni Chena, more humble than straw. And when he became very humble, then the devotees prayed to Prabhupada, oh Prabhupada, he has learnt his lesson now, you accept him. And then Srila Prabhupada accepted him back. So, this is Prabhupada's mercy. In the Gaudiya Math, the devotees used to say, two things are very sweet. Prabhupada dal and Prabhupada gal. Right? That means, the dal of Prabhupada, that means the Mahaprasad, Mahaprasad. The remnant of Srila Prabhupada is very sweet. And also, Prabhupada gal, the chastisement of Srila Prabhupada is also very sweet, because this is his mercy by which he destroys all anarthas in the heart. So though Srila Prabhupada was extremely strict and uncompromising, he was also very kind and affectionate, more loving than thousands and thousands of mothers. Otherwise, how could so many educated and wealthy persons leave all their comforts and live the life of austerity, unless they were the Vasibhut, they brought under the control of the love of Srila Prabhupada. He was so kind. He would go to see the devotees, have you taken prasadam? In the night time when the devotees were sleeping, then he would come into the ashram and look to make sure all the devotees, they have a mosquito net. Otherwise, if you sleep without a mosquito net, then you will be bitten and you can get malaria. So Srila Prabhupada, being Acharya and being Guru, while devotees are sleeping, sometimes he would go into the ashram and himself hang up the mosquito net and tuck it in around it. Like this. Very loving. More than a mother. Very, very kind. One day, Srila Prabhupada, he traveled very far to one new mat had been constructed, and they were getting ready to make the inauguration, the opening of the mat, and install the Vigraha, the deities there. And Srila Prabhupada arrived there, and he met with the brahmacharis, a few brahmacharis he had sent to make this mission. So when he came, he noticed that one of the brahmacharis he had sent, he was not there. So Srila Prabhupada asked, oh, where is this brahmachari? They told him, oh Prabhupada, he came here, he was doing so much seva. But after some time, he got entangled in some maya with one young lady in this village. So we all chastised him very much. And he was very embarrassed and he ran away. Then Srila Prabhupada, he became very grave. He said, you know, the living entities for millions and millions of lifetimes, they are wandering in this world. They are drowning in the ocean of material existence. And sometimes by good fortune, that soul comes to the shore of the ocean of material existence. And if we push him back in, then this is a complete calamity. This is a great tragedy. He came to us and now we have driven him away. I will not open this temple. I will not install the deities until he comes. You should find him. So then Ayagriva Prabhu, he said, we don't know where he is, but I have one idea. I remember one day, a devotee, his watch was broken. And this brahmachari said, give it to me. And in a few minutes he fixed it. So I think that he must have this professional skill in the mending watches. So he must be anywhere in a watch making shop. Like that. We'll go and look for him. So then the devotees went and they searched here and there. And they found him behind one watch shop and he was repairing watches there. And they came to him and they said, oh Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada has come to open the temple. But he said, no, I will not do it unless you return. So he's calling you, he's waiting for you. Then that devotee began to cry. He said, oh, Krishna has answered my prayers. I was suffering so much, But I could not go back, I was very embarrassed. But now Prabhupada is calling me. He's so merciful. So then that devotee, he came back, and Srila Prabhupada was very, very happy to see him. And Srila Prabhupada, he said that, one soul in this world, if we can deliver one soul, that is more important to me than hundreds and hundreds of temples and buildings. The soul. So Srila Prabhupada, he's the ocean of mercy, complete ocean of mercy, full of affection for those who have taken shelter of him, even those who have taken shelter imperfectly. Bhajan manopi mad bhakto vishaya ajitendriya pragalbaya bhaktya vishaya abhibhuyate nabhibhuyate. See, Krishna told to Uddhav that if there is a devotee and he's doing bhakti, not so strongly, but trying, but sometimes the senses may overpower him. Sometimes his mind is harassed by worldly desires. But still, because bhakti is very powerful, then still he will not be overcome. He will become successful in his spiritual life, just like a person who has a fever. Person has a very high fever, but the doctor has already given the medicine. So one should not say, oh, he's a sick person. Why? Because the medicine is starting to work, and very soon all the problems will be gone. So Srila Prabhupada's vision was like this, very, very merciful. See, Guru does not see us how we are today. He sees, how we can be 20 years, 30 years, next lifetime. In the future, yes. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Thakur is very, very kind and merciful. One time, Srila Prabhupada, he came to a meeting of the Vaishnavas, and the Harikatha was going on there. Now Srila Prabhupada was very careful not to express very elevated things in the presence of unqualified persons. But his ecstasies were sometimes, he could not hide it. He could not hide his inner mood. So one time, Prabhupada was sitting and listening, and one devotee was speaking. And he spoke about Rasalila, just as we were hearing our very dear Pujapad Bhaktivichar Vishnu Maharaj mixing into his katha some nectar of Krishna's Rasalila. So that devotee was speaking in this way. And that devotee said, Tato gatva banuddeshan dripta keshmam abravit naparayam chalitam nayamam yaptate manaha. During the Rasalila, Radha Krishna were walking through the forest. In the meantime, all the Sakhis, they were searching. Where is the Krishna? Where is Radhika? So Radhika had this idea that, Krishna wants to take me further into the forest, but I should slow down, then my Sakhis can catch up. Because Radhika has the Surit Rati, so much love for Lalita, Vishaka and the others. So Radhika said, Krishna, I cannot go any further. If you want, you can carry me wherever you want. See, Krishna said, just sit on my shoulder. And then Krishna suddenly disappeared. And when Krishna disappeared at that moment, then it was such a shock in the heart of Radhika. And this devotee was telling, Ha nata ramana prasta kwasi mahabhuja jasyaste kripanayame sakke dashaya sannidim. Ha nata, oh Nath, oh my most beloved, I cannot live without you. Just now, I will die, so you should come back soon. Why? Because if I die and then you find that I've passed away, you will feel pain. Radhika never thinks of her own happiness. She's only thinking of Krishna's happiness. So I don't want you to feel this sadness. So Krishna said, but if you die, how will you know what I'm feeling or not? Ha nata ramana preshta. Oh Preshta, you are so dear to me that if you feel a slightest pain in the tip of your toenail, then that I feel that pain myself, millions and millions of times more than you even. She could hear the voice of Krishna in her heart. Oh, just you are about to pass away. There's nothing I can do to save you now. Radhika said, no, Kwasi Mahapuja, you have very strong arms. If you come and embrace me, it will be like Amrita, and from the verge of death I will come back to life. Krishna said, look, I am a prince. I am a very respectable person, the son of Nanda Maharaj. Why did you speak to me in such a way and say, oh, you can carry me? Radhika said, Dasaste Kripanayane, oh, Krishna, I am your servant, be merciful to me. Because you decorated my hair and you treated me with so much respect. So I became somewhat familiar, so I said, you should carry me. Krishna said, okay then come to me. He said, oh, I became blinded in separation. Where are you? Where are you? Dasaste Kripanayane, Sakhe Dashaya Sannidhim. And then Radhika fainted. So when this devotee described that Radhika had fainted because Krishna had disappeared, then our Prabhupada, because he's so attached to Srimati Radhika, being the Nitya Kinkari of Radhika, being the Dasi of Srimati Radhika, he could not tolerate hearing of Radhika's pain. And Srila Prabhupada stood up and he said, don't say, Ha Nata Ramana Prasta Kwasi Kwasi Mahabhaja. Rather you should say, Itastatastam Manusritya Radhikam Ananga Bana Brana Kinna Manasa Kritanu Tapasa Kalinda Nandini Tatanta Kunjay Vishasada Madhava. He quoted one verse of Sri Jayadev Goswami, the opposite pastime. In Bhagavatam, Sri Krishna leaves and Radhika cries and faints. But in Jayadev Goswami's poetry, what happens? Radhika leaves the Rasalila and Sri Krishna, he cries and faints. Kim karisati kim badisati sachiram birahena kim danena janena kim jivitena grihena. Oh Radhika, where are you? Where are you? What are you doing now? What is Radhika saying? What is she thinking? When will she accept me again? Shamyatam na param kadapi tavedasham na karomi Dehi sundari darshanam mama mannatena duno. Oh Radhika, I promise I'll never make offense to you again. Dehi sundari darshanam mama. Oh beautiful one, give me your darshan and save my life because I am suffering from the arrows of Cupid. So in this way, Srila Prabhupada, though he kept his mood very hidden, but sometimes it would come out. He could not hide his intense love for Srimati Radhika. He could not tolerate her pain. He'd rather that Krishna should suffer in separation from Radhika, that Radhika should suffer in separation from Sri Krishna. So when the devotees saw this, those who are qualified, then by this such manifestation, Srila Prabhupada was giving them what? Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daine Prabhave Namaha, inspiring the eternal Nitya Sambandha of all the devotees. So, I think I've run out of time. I'll put my katha to sleep here. Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupada Ashtodara Satasi Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Sarasvati Thakura Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Gaur Premanande.